It is Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Welcome to another edition of Baseball Today. And oh my guy Jolly is back for another episode. Producer Dan, intern Sawyer along for the ride as well. Jolly, me, you, Dan are just, there's some June gloom going around with our baseball teams. But I love the smile. How are you doing, my dirty martini?
Yeah, we're going through the June swoon right now, Trev. It's ugly. It's ugly for all our teams. Let's say it's ugliest for Dan's team. Let's just band together against him. But I'm good. I'm ready to talk some ball today.
I think I'm going to start calling you the espresso martini.
I like that. I like that drink
up.
more. That works more.
Okay. Before we get to a tip of the cap, we have a special video message for everybody. Check it out.
Plouffe and whomever's filling in today, thank you very much. Miss my community on Baseball Today. I will see you soon enough, but I've got a new friend, The Miz.
That's right, Plouffe. He doesn't call me Mizzy.
No.
He calls me The Miz, not Plouffe. But guess what? Cleveland Guardians are going to the World Series, and they're going to win this year.
God.
That's what's happening, and it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
See you later, Plouffe.
Bye, guys.
All right. Do I have to fight The Miz now? I feel like that was aggressive towards me.
Just a collab I just never would have thought I would see in my entire life.
All right, that put a smile on my face. Thank you
Right.
to Rosie. Thank you to The Miz. I don't think I'm allowed to say what they're doing. It might be on the internet. Just Google it. If it is, good. But we do. We miss Rose for sure. And now that I'm best friends with a WWE superstar, just put that one in my pocket. That's awesome. Gosh, that was really funny. I didn't know what to expect right there.
Fully in character and everything. That was crazy.
For our true tip of the cap for the day, we got to move on with the show. This is Baseball Today, people. Our true tip of the cap goes to our guy, Chase Burns. Gets called up by the Cincinnati Reds, set to make his debut and to try to win the series against Dan Rourke's Yankees today. This guy has had a meteoric rise throughout the Reds minor league system, pitching at 3 different levels, ERA in the ones. I remember seeing this guy in the College World Series, I believe it was, and he was just going crazy, like so many, very theatrical on the mound, very emotional. And, I'm not the biggest college baseball guy, so I always say to that, well, let's see how you do in pro ball, kid. And he's dominated so far. Now the big leagues is different, but I think everyone is very excited to see Mr. Burns come up and see what he's got against the Yankees. Where do you stand on all this, Jolly?
Yeah, I got 2 things. I mean, one, that 2024 draft class is looking really fun. Like Nick Kurtz, Jack Caglione, Christian Moore, and now Chase Burns getting in the mix, Cam Smith. Like that's 5 players that were drafted last year that are already like big league regulars. And also, we got to shout out Wake Forest University because they've started to really turn around their baseball program. They now got Burns, Kurtz, and Rhett Lauder all in the last 3 years that have made the major league level coming out of their university, which is pretty cool.
Shout out Chase Burns. I'm always rooting for the young guys. I just want to know, is he going to get all animated tonight against the Yankees? Has he been doing that in pro ball? I don't know, but that's kind of
change now.
That's how I process it. I'm like, are you going to continue to do that in pro ball? And if you can just deal, whatever. I'm coming around to it, Jolly. I'm not the old man.
I heard a Dan Rourke chime. It got me a little bit.
Jolly, we're going to talk about your Mets who are playing the Braves in a series this week. The Braves took the opener of the series against the Mets 3-2 at Citi Field. Schwellenbach delivered a quality start, just 2 runs over 7 innings pitched, helping Atlanta secure its 4th straight win over the Mets. Acuna has been absolutely going nuts since coming off the IL. He's batting .396 with a .500 on base percentage, .738 slug. On the Mets side, though, a little happiness for you. Juan Soto, he stayed hot as well. He launched a 2-run homer. Not enough for the Mets, but he's been on a tear lately since he's been posting a .338 average, nearly a .500 on base percentage, and a .1200 OPS over the last few weeks. The Mets came up short. I guess I'm just going to open the floor to you. Give me the state of the union on the Mets, and I'll kind of talk Braves. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, we've done Baseball Today a couple times this season. I never really quit on the Braves just because I know what they're capable of, and they always seem to play their best ball when they're playing the New York Mets. They improved to 4-0 against the Mets this year. Spencer Schwellenbach has 4 career starts against the Mets, and he's finished 7 innings or more every single time. So it was a nightmare matchup to start out with. It is good that Juan Soto's hitting the ball really hard. It just stinks that the Mets can't seem to rally around that and win some ball games. They're 1-9 in their last 10, while their NL East rivals continue to surge. But Acuna, for me, is really the story. His solo home run is the difference in the game last night, and his at-bats are just so good. Every single pitch, you're living and dying, waiting for him to hit the ball as hard as he possibly can. He only looked bad against that last at-bat against Paul Blackburn last night, where he was kind of chasing the slider outside the zone, looking to probably get another extra base hit. But he is so dialed, and he's showing that even if he's not stealing bases, he is still a top 5 player in this game, and he should be respected in that capacity. Also, it hurts because I see it from the other side. His home run celebration is awesome. I love tossing the grenade. I think it's so cool. It gets me every single time. I just wish that I could root for it, and I can't right now.
I bought Brave stock very early, Jolly, after they were 0-7. Now they are 6 games back of a wild card spot. They have some teams to jump. It's a long way to go. Chris Sale just broke his freaking rib.
Yeah.
So there are some concerns, obviously. Like, there's a lot of games to be made up. You just lost one of your best starting pitchers. And to me, obviously, if you have Strider, Sale, and what Schwellenbach's been able to do, I mean, that is one of the best 1-2-3s in all of baseball. Now you're going to probably end up waiting 2 months for Sale, I would say, is probably what you're going to have to wait to see him back. So can they continue to just find ways to win? I think that they can. I know 6 games does not seem like a lot, but it's the amount of teams they'll have to jump, and then the quality of play in the National League as well. So there are some reasons for concern, but I think in September, Jolly, we're going to be looking at both of those teams fighting for a wild card spot, or maybe the Phillies get involved. Whoever's not winning the division, I think it's going to be a very, very tight race in the NL wild card. So if I'm the Braves, if I'm the Mets, and if I'm the Phillies, I am looking at this trade deadline as basically make it or break it for my postseason hopes, because they all need things. Every team needs a little roster replenish, but specifically, I think in that division and then the wild card for the National League, it's just so tight that you're going to have to go for it at the deadline.
Yeah, I think the Braves are in a weird spot because they're still, decently under 500, and I think if the deadline was today, they'd probably stand pat, maybe not sell. They got to get hot before that trade deadline to really convince the front office to buy, and it's already a pretty frugal front office. They don't love to spend too much. But concerning the Braves, the Chris Sale injury is really tough because I agree that front 3 would probably be top 3, top 2 in baseball, in my opinion. I think Spencer Schwellenbach is incredibly underrated, probably going to be an all-star this year. But that hurts because now they have a rookie in the rotation. I know that they don't love Bryce Elder. They've moved the rotation around, so Bryce Elder didn't face the Mets in back-to-back series. So I guess that kind of speaks about where they think he's at in his career. But yeah, they're going to need their offense to revert back to 2023 form. They're going to have to bang the ball around if they're going to go on deep winning stretches, because now they really only have 2 ace caliber starting pitchers as opposed to 3, and that you feel that difference. And the Mets are feeling that difference too with the loss of Kodai Senga and Sean Manaea. The starting pitching has been really rough, and when you lose one of your horses that you can rely on every 5th day to at least have you in a game competing, it definitely changes the vibe of the team. And I think ever since that Senga injury, the Mets have been feeling the weight of that a ton. That was the ERA leader before the injury. I'm sure the Braves will feel the same way because Chris Sale has been their horse. And I know he had a weird start to the season, but he's still Chris Sale. He's still very good. And the play that he got hurt on, it's the second out of the 9th inning in a game that they were up 5-0. I know that he wanted that shutout, but you look back on that and you think, I kind of wish he just ate it or just picked up the ball and let him have the hit, because then you get him for 2 more months,
Every time I see a pitcher run off the mound, I'm like, hey, just relax. You're not used to
Chris Sale. There's not a lot of meat there too.
Not a lot of meat there.
The
teams that Atlanta would have to jump in the wild card: Arizona, who they're 3.5 games back of, Cincinnati, San Diego, and then the teams that are actually in the wild card: Milwaukee, St. Louis, are tied for the 3rd spot. San Francisco and your Mets have the 1 and 2 spots, respectively. I don't mean any offense to pitchers. I pulled my hamstring on the treadmill yesterday.
Full pull, or is it just like
just like a little tightening up? I was trying to feel what a 4-minute mile pace would be. So that's 15 miles an hour.
Sprinting on the treadmill.
It's 15 miles an hour. That's I got to 14, and I was kind of chugging along, and all of a sudden I felt it tighten up. I was like, okay, let's just put that on hold.
Did you stretch?
No, man.
Yeah, stretch every day, Trev.
I mean, I stretched a little bit. I was walking before. All right, that's neither here nor there. Let's move on to the second topic, which just happens to be another sore thing on my body, a sore subject, if you will. The Twins' free fall continued with a 10-1 loss to the Mariners, capping off a stretch in which my Twins have now dropped 13 of the last 16 games. What once looked like a playoff caliber roster has really struggled on both sides of the ball. The pitching ERA in June has been atrocious. The offense, not consistent enough, not enough pop there. Byron Buxton obviously has been playing really, really well. I'm going to give my take on this, but I want to hear you first. I guess, do you have any faith in the Twins to make a comeback? And then second part to that is, do you think they'll consider dangling a Byron Buxton on the open market at the deadline this year?
That's a really interesting question because with this new playoff format, it feels like it's going to be a seller's market every year at the trade deadline. Like we said it last year, and then it's very much going to be the same this year. So if you're the Twins, you have to think about it because it goes beyond Buxton. It's their really deep bullpen where they have, honestly, 7 really good relievers that I think could be dangled in front of other teams. But the thing with the Twins, and this goes back to last year too, is just they're too damn streaky. So like I never really know what to think of them. Like I did a little digging and I just went through their record. They started the year 0-4. From April 6th to April 20th, they went 3-10. Then from May 3rd to May 17th, they went 13-0. And then from June 12th to June 23, they went 1-10. That's like 3 or 4 season-altering streaks, and we're not even 3 months into the season. So most teams don't even encounter this many in a full season. So it's a tough thing to weather as a roster and a coaching staff when you really can't find, like you said, any consistency on either side of the ball. The frustrating part for me is that not only is Buxton hitting, but Royce Lewis feels like he's back to who we expect him to be. He's got a 182 weighted runs created plus in June after a really bad stretch of hitting by him and injury concerns and all that. It's just the starting pitching. You've mentioned it before, but they got injuries to Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan at the worst possible time, and their depth is being tested, and it's not performing. So if I'm the Twins, I still believe in them, and the American League is weaker in that wildcard race. I still think they can compete. I think they're better than some of the other teams competing in their division, but I also think they're better equipped to be a seller at the deadline. So if they get to the deadline and they're under 500, even if it's 1 or 2 games, if I'm that front office with all the financial trouble that they've been in this past offseason, I'd heavily consider it because it might be time to potentially reset this roster.
All right. First off, Byron Buxton's not going anywhere. There's no doubt. That would just be, I guess, the proverbial nail in the coffin right now. I mean, the interest right now in the Minnesota Twins in Minneapolis is not great, for being honest. They're falling behind. They're already behind the Vikings because it's more of a football town. You know, the Timberwolves have had a nice run here. The Lynx are doing things like there's a new soccer team in town. The Loons, like their interest is waning in this team, and for a couple different reasons. But they can't trade Byron Buxton because he is like one of the only draws on the team right now. So that's not going to happen. Rocco Baldelli, they announced they extended him or picked up an option, whatever it is. He's going to be the manager next year, which a lot of people were calling for him. I don't think that was the right thing to call for him. You know how I feel about managers. They don't really impact the game. As far as if they're going to be sellers and if they can get back into it, they have, I think you're right. I think one thing I noticed about the roster is the depth necessarily isn't there. It's being tested right now, so they're having to use a lot of the depth bench pieces in the starting lineup. And just, it's such an inconsistent lineup right now. They're not getting the job done. The pitching has just gone way down since Pablo's been out. Bailey Ober's kind of struggled this year after being what I called him a quality start king. It's what he was, man. And it just hasn't happened for him. So they got to get going real quick. They're 3.5 games out of the wild card now with really no signs of turning things around. If they're still at that point at the trade deadline, I think you do start to look at what you could get for a Danny Coulomb, what you can get for possibly a Brock Stewart. I don't know if they're into trading Duran or Jax. I mean, I wouldn't if I was them. I mean, those are your guys at the back end of your bullpen. But I do believe that we're more towards the selling than we are towards the buying. And I've challenged them the last couple of nights on the broadcast, like, hey, this is it. Like these next 3 weeks are when you have to convince the front office to keep your team together or possibly add. Because if you don't, then yeah, you're going to be end of July being like, damn, like we still got to play August and September with no shot at making the play. Like that is not where you want to be as an organization. So it's going to
Trev,
come up down to the next couple weeks for them.
9 of their next 12 games are Tigers, Rays, and Cubs. Good teams. So that's a good litmus test for if this team can really compete.
It's going to be interesting, Jolly.
Yeah.
It's yeah. You know, there's still hope. There's always hope for our Mets and our Twins, okay?
Yeah, it just feels bad right now. It just feels no good.
Speaking of the Cubs and the Yankees both suffered deflating losses yesterday. Chicago dropped the first game of the series to the Cardinals 8-2. Meanwhile, the Yankees lost to the Reds 6-1. Both teams are now facing some pressure from people behind them in their divisions. The Cubs are trying to fend off Milwaukee and St. Louis as that race gets tighter. The Yankees now have the Rays and Jays playing well behind them. My question to you, Jolly, is what team is more likely to lose its grip on first place in their division and fall into a wild card spot, the Cubs or the Yankees?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm gonna do the Cubs side of this, but I'm a little timid because I do still think that they're the most talented team in the NL Central, and their stars have continued to perform. Like there's been no PCA fall off. Michael Busch is still raking. They weathered the Shota Imanaga injury really well. He's due back this series against the Cardinals. They got good performances from the rotation out of Tyone. Matthew Boyd is a slam dunk signing. It's less about them and more about the quality of their competition. They're facing their rivals really for like the first time. This is the first time they've played the Cardinals this year, and they're going to play them 3 more times after the series as well. And if you are a baseball fan that's been watching ball for at least 5 years, you know better than to count out the Milwaukee Brewers at any point this season. You kind of always felt like they were going to be back. They just play too fundamental and sound of baseball. And now they're getting good starting pitching performances on top of that from your typical Brewers names that you never seen before this year. So for the Cubs, I'm just a little bit worried because it kind of feels like that whole division is involved right now. Like I never really bought Red stock, but they're getting involved. They're getting big wins over good teams. The Cardinals fall off hasn't happened. They're still banging the ball and getting good enough pitching to really compete. And, you know, these are the games that are the most important. I said at the beginning of the year that I can only really be convinced that the Cubs will win their division when they start to beat the Brewers. Because if you go back every year in the 2020s, they've always had a losing record against the Brewers. And that's always kind of been the deciding factor in who comes out on top. Right now, they're 3-2 against the Brewers. They lost their first matchup with the Cardinals. But the Cubs, while they've been really impressive and they've been running the table this entire year, they still got to prove that part of it. They got to beat the teams in their division, and that's really how you put the distance between them. I know it's not a very analytical take, but until the Cubs take down their rivals, I view them as the team more in danger because with the Yankees side of it, the Rays have been a nice story, but they've done most of their mashing in home games, and their road offensive stats have not been so good, and they're going to start to play a ton of road games in the summer. And then with the Blue Jays, fun roster. I got to see those two teams play a little bit more before I can be convinced. But yeah, I definitely view the Cubs as the team more in danger.
I think both of these teams, the Yankees and the Cubs, are the best team in their division. I would say that. I think I believe in the Rays a little bit more than you do. So I'll go with the Yankees on this one, although, again, I still think they probably win the division. The reason I say the Rays is they have what I like to call like an identity. They have a way they want to win baseball games, and they're they can win in a multitude of ways. When they're at home, they can slug. That's for sure because, you know, we know what's going on in that ballpark, but they have team speed. They have team defense. Their pitching has been awesome, and they've been healthy, and they're getting McClanahan back at some point this year. So I just think they have a recipe to compete against the Yankees. Now they're 3-4 on the year against the Yankees. So the Yankees still have the upper hand there. It's kind of why I still give them the nod in the division there. For the Cubs, I just saw Milwaukee, and Milwaukee and Tampa are very similar in the way that they approach the game of baseball. I mean, they are run prevention teams that can run the bases, and like every once in a while, they got a few guys that can knock the ball out of the park. Like they have everything going for them. If I'm going Rays versus Milwaukee, I'm picking, I think I like the Rays roster just a little bit better head to toe. So I guess that's why I'm saying the Yankees. But my real answer is I think both these teams end up winning their divisions, the Yankees and the Cubs.
Yeah, we kind of went a similar direction of like it's less about the Cubs and Yankees and more about who they're trying to outlast. I will give the Rays one piece of credit here because I just found the stat. Yankees 23-24 against winning teams, so under 500.
Yes.
The Rays 26-18, 8 games over against winning teams. They
They're
swept my Mets.
They're
They've looked
16-12
really good.
on the road. They're not like losing games on the
No,
road.
right. I want to see like a decent road sample of them because they haven't played a ton of road games. They got an OPS as a team of 692 on the road compared to 750 at home. That's a pretty big difference as a whole roster. So I'm curious to see how the offense pans out when they start playing all those road games.
Yeah, and you're right. I think getting into the All-Star break from this point, they only have 3 more home games. So they're just road warriors, man.
We'll see.
We will see. Go St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, I was doubting.
Firing everybody up there. Like, I feel like we don't talk about them enough. They've been such a fun story. So I just wanted to shout out Katie Wu and my Cardinals fans. Let's move on to this one. Is we go back and forth on this all the time. So the Diamondbacks, they beat the White Sox, improving 2 games over 500, but the win came with some injury concerns. Eugenio Suarez left the game early after taking a pitch off his hand. Those X-rays came back negative. The same can't be said for our guy Corbin Carroll, who was placed on the IL after being diagnosed with a broken left wrist. I mean, that's going to sideline him for a significant stretch of time here. Despite these setbacks, Arizona continues to grind out wins and is in the thick of the NL wildcard race. What do you think they do, Jolly? Is this a team that is Corbin Carroll going on the IL enough for them to say, man, like, let's just lick our wounds here this year, get what we can get for our impending free agents and come back ready for 2026? Where are you at on that?
Well, one, I want to say, I feel like I talk about the Diamondbacks every time I do baseball today because they're just always up to something. There's always something going on with that damn team, whether they're blowing 10-run leads or
they're 13-7 in June. Like, and we're asking if they're going to sell. It's
crazy. It's definitely crazy. And I will say this, because this might be a weird take, but because their lineup is so well-rounded, they have Ketel Marte, who's crushing the baseball. Eugenio Suarez is up to a 150 OPS plus. You don't want to lose anyone, obviously, but I think an injury like the Corbin Burns one hurts more than the Corbin Carroll one. Corbin Carroll is your star. He does so many things well. He changes the entire outlook of your team. But I think their ability to weather that injury is stronger than their ability to weather more pitching injuries. And that's definitely been the trend this year. They lost AJ Puck. They lost Corbin Burns. Zach Gallen has been performing. So with them, it's not good, obviously. I mean, this is not a, a hot take or whatever, but it's a devastating injury to their roster right now. But I still can't really quit them because they have 9 guys in their roster that are above league average offensively that hit every day. And they're starting to get better pitching performances. Like Erod had a really good start last night. Merrill Kelly's been a rock for them. Like if they can just continue to tread water in the National League West and, beat some of their division rivals, then they go from the most impressive seller in the National League to one of the scarier teams because at any point they can rip off a 5-run inning. Like I still think the Diamondbacks are incredibly talented and they're having this weird season where so much has happened that it almost feels like they've got a little bit of magic to them where like they've weathered so many different things and they've played the game of the year like 5 times this year. And I have a really tough time quitting a team that is constantly putting on insane baseball display. So I think they'll be able to survive. This is another really tough blow for this roster. The fact that it's Corbin Carroll of all people is devastating.
So you're saying no sell?
I'm still saying no sell because I know it's seller's market, but this team is too talented. Like that one way or another, I know they have expiring contracts, but this team is too damn talented to be quitting when they're 13-7 in June and 2 games over 500.
This is going to sound kind of stupid because we've had, I think, 4 guys from their team had TJ this year. It's Mike Montgomery, it's Puck, Martinez, and now Corbin Burns, right?
Yeah,
that's the 4. But other than that, they've been relatively healthy in the rotation.
So weird. It's either a devastating injury or it's everyone's fun.
4 TJs, but like, Merrill Kelly's made all the starts. Gallen's made all the starts. Fott's made all the starts. Erod's made 13. And now Ryan Nelson kind of entering the rotation. He's actually been pretty good. He's had one bad start where you get 7 earned runs. Other than that, he's been pretty good. I'm so on the fence here, man. They're 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. And I think if you asked around the league, especially in their own division, like teams aren't like stoked to play the Diamondbacks, even with Corbin Carroll hurt, even with Corbin Burns gone. Like there's still like a team, like you said, who just has mojo. Like they can put up massive innings. And if Kelly, Gallen, and Fott, round into form, then you're looking at a 3-headed monster right there as well. We've seen those guys do it before. So as much as I want, like as just a baseball fan, I think it would make the landscape a lot of fun if the Diamondbacks decided, hey, let's just sell. I'm with you. I think that they still have enough there that they could sneak into a wild card spot. And because they have 2023 on their mind, I think that's where they end up. I don't think they sell here. Maybe one piece gets sold, but I don't think they're going for a fire sale. I don't think they're giving up on the season, even with the Corbin Carroll news. So this is a team that I think if you're not invested in the National League at all, and like you're just an American League guy, like I think this is like the team to root for. I really do.
Let me ask you a 2-part question.
Okay.
First part, how many wins do you think it takes for the third NL wildcard team to make the playoffs?
I've had this discussion a ton.
Okay.
It's in the upper 80s. I think it's either 89. It could even be 90 wins.
Do you think the Diamondbacks can win 90 games with their current roster?
I think that's like the ultimate ceiling for them. So it's not probable, but I think they can. But that's 100% best case scenario.
Yeah. So like, it's just a question of can they bang their way to 90 games? Let's find out.
Here's my thing. You got like this in Phoenix right now. You got people finally. Like you got the young kids rooting for the Diamondbacks. Like you have people who have grown up with this team now. Like you got to reward them. They've been coming up to the games. Like they've been showing love to the franchise. There are some times where like, you know what? Like let's just take the qualifying offer for some of these guys and let's like have our fans have another season of competitive baseball here. I think it's worth it. And those are the things that front offices have to decide. We talk about it all from roster decisions and what's best, but like that's not the business. The business is who's coming to the yard.
Yep.
Like that's the business. And I think sometimes people forget about that. If I'm running that team, I'm keeping everyone and we're going to make a run at this thing.
They're the most interesting team.
All right. We got one more question today. And I think this is a good one. And I actually want to make an amendment to it. Okay. We're talking about James Wood and CJ Abrams. They returned to San Diego and they reminded the Padres what they gave up. I mean, James Wood, massive homer. CJ Abrams had a great game as well. They were once top prospects for the San Diego Padres, dealt for Juan Soto. I believe it was in 2022. And now these guys are, they are doing probably what the Padres thought they could do. I know AJ Preller was not happy to give these guys up, but he wanted to bring Juan Soto in, thought he would be a difference maker. The Padres had some success with him, flipped him for some other pieces. So it wasn't just a straight up, hey, they lost Juan Soto and gave away those guys. They brought in some guys from the Yankees as well. The question for you, and on the sheet that we sent you, the question was, is this the best 24 and under duo in the league, meaning James Wood and CJ Abrams? I'm going to open it up to 25 and under in the league, because if we went 24 and under in the league, there's really only like one other team that has guys that are 24 and under that you'd talk about, and that'd be the A's with Jacob Wilson and Lawrence Butler. So if you open up to 25 and under, you can get some more guys in there. So what say you? Is this the best duo 25 and under in the league?
That's interesting because I was like, I don't know who's like the 24 and under duo. So I did some research before the show. I found the A's guys, like you mentioned. There's also Gunnar Henderson and Jackson Holliday, who I think in like a couple years probably will take
Is Gunnar 24?
Gunner's 24. Yeah. And then Jackson's like,
he's 24. Julio Rodriguez, people, get off his back.
I'm looking around at the updated list of 25 and under. And I think the answer is still the same. Like the competition was like Victor Scott and Mason Wynn. They're fun, especially on defense. Zach Neto and Nolan Shanwell on the Angels. But yeah, no, it's James Wood and CJ Abrams, and it's almost like bittersweet to talk about because they've really developed into like this offensive speed defensive powerhouse of a duo, and yet the Nationals seem like they're no closer to competing. They've completely failed to supplement this like golden young core that they've inherited from the Padres. The team 6 years removed from their World Series, which they won with Juan Soto, kind of still feel like Juan Soto and everybody else because the embodiment of Juan Soto is these three dudes. It's Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams, and James Wood. And most of the guys involved in that package are on the roster in some capacity. It's just everything else that the Nationals have done around it has not contributed to winning baseball. So, yes, I do agree they're the best 25, 24 and under duo in the league, whatever you want to call it. But they're getting completely wasted, and it sucks. Like James Wood should probably be the starting left fielder on the All-Star team. CJ Abrams is probably going to be an All-Star again, and yet the Nationals are just coming off an 11-game losing streak. They lost a series to the Rockies. They are playing worse baseball than the Marlins. They're probably going to finish last in the NL East this year and sell again, and there's no like immediate future on the horizon of like, okay, we can really sink our teeth into this and get excited for next year. And it's frustrating because the Nationals have fallen backwards into talent again, which is how their last era of competitive baseball started when they got back-to-back 1-1 picks and got Strasburg and Harper, and that basically kickstarted a decade of great baseball for them. This duo plus Mackenzie Gore should be the kickstart to at least 5 years of good competitive baseball in DC, and I think if you ask any Nats fan, none of them would buy that that's even remotely close right now.
Yeah, I think starting pitching needs to be pair someone up with Mackenzie Gore. You need a couple of them. Like you're gonna have to go find guys in free agency. Maybe a Zach Gallen ends up going there. Whatever it is, I agree with you that they don't seem like they're really close to contention. They still we didn't even mention Dylan Cruz, who like I'm assuming we'll figure it out at some point. He's a streaky player. He's shown flashes. Robert Hassel III is up there. They have the number 1 overall pick this year in the draft.
Holiday, probably.
I don't know. Yeah, they're saying Holiday. There's a couple pitchers they might look at. We'll see. The other guys we could mention in this scenario, you didn't want to do Sal Frelick and Bryce Terang, bro?
Okay, that's a good pick.
You're not
I like
in
Bryce
on that?
Terang a lot. I like it.
I'm looking at other options here. Corbin Carroll and Geraldo Perdomo. I don't know if that works.
Perdomo's that young?
And
Really?
Bobby Witt Jr.
That's a good one. Garcia's having a really nice year.
Just Bobby Witt Jr. alone, you're like, like I could have that guy.
We're putting him in a duo.
I'm gonna go with the A's guys.
Okay,
because that includes Tyler Soderstrom. Like there's
you can't have all three. That's
and
cheating.
Nick Kurtz. Like there's guys there. I think they're my favorite young core in the game right now.
But that's more a trio. That feels like a trio.
Okay, so let me have Jacob Wilson and Nick Kurtz.
Okay. That's who I would pick too. I
think Nick Kurtz is going to be an absolute dog in this league, and Jacob Wilson is such like a fun, like anomaly type player. I respect CJ Abrams way more than most people do. Okay, I've been a CJ Abrams stan for a while. I don't care that he went to the casino. I don't care that he went to the casino. Okay, no big deal there. But I'm going Jacob Wilson over him. And James Wood, that's the thing, though. Nick Kurtz, if he could become anywhere near what James Wood has done this year, I'll be stoked for that. James Wood has one of my favorite swings in all of baseball. Like there are a couple times every few years I get like a guy that comes into the league, and I'm like, damn, like I love this swing. Yordan Alvarez was probably the last guy that I did that for, where I'm like, who is this monster? And I was on him early, and James Wood, I feel the same way about him and his swing. Like it looks so dialed in. The power's there to all fields. He doesn't get fooled too often. I think we're seeing the evolution of someone becoming one of the elite bats in the game. I don't think this is flukish, Jolly. No. So I don't know. I don't even know if I answered the question. I love James Wood and CJ Abrams, but I think if I'm going to pick a young core, I'm going with the A's guys.
If you're a baseball fan, go to James Wood's Baseball Savant and look at his hit spray chart.
It's beautiful.
The majority of his home runs are to the opposite field. Like that's nuts.
Incredible pop.
He's for real.
Yeah, he's for real. That's going to do it today, man. I'm always stoked when you come on. Ball, Jolly. That's why I like you.
Thanks, man.
And you got good hair. Thanks, so, do you have anything to plug before we end this show?
No, I mean, I guess I got to get started on that Andres Galarraga video
Yep.
because Jake got a little fired up about that. It looks interesting. I'm looking into it.
3
Might be enough
different
for a video.
decades.
Yeah, 85 to 04 is crazy.
It's insane, Jolly.
That's too much, dude.
It's
30 years of ball. It's insane. Or 20, whatever.
Yeah, it's bad math by you.
It's bad math.
It's
bad
like
math.
18. So
No way.
I appreciate you coming on. We'll be back tomorrow. So for the Dirty Martini, Espresso Martini, Jolly Olive, and super producer Dan Rourke and intern star, I am Trevor Plouffe. We will see you tomorrow on Baseball Today.
Chase Burns no hitter.